Welcome to Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition. I'm continuing my review of my Amazons campaign in last season's Open Ladder. The Amazons have played 12 matches so far. We have 10 victories, 1 draw and 1 defeat. In our previous match, I faced off against a Wood Elf team who quickly scored and quickly conceded as soon as one of their players was injured. This time around, we are facing another Dark Elf team. The last time we faced the Dark Elves, we played out a scoreless draw. Could we emerge victorious this time around? A very unusual uniform scheme there. Usually Dark Elf teams tend to pick black. Dark black, I guess it sort of fits. This is my Amazon team. I think they are pretty well developed at this point. I'm still disappointed I haven't given my blitzers a lot of guard and mighty blow and frenzy, but the fact that we've played a lot of matches in which the opponents have conceded meant my line women have managed to get a lot of SPP from the extra MVP awards. The weather is fine. I have a fireball for this one. So I was playing against a superior TV team. Let's take a look at them in terms of level ups. The Dark Elves do have a couple of linemen who have block. This one has block and dodge. Yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with these players because their Witch Elves have leveled up. So they have both block and dodge. This one also has Dauntless. On the plus side, not many of their team has tackle. This would be the first the player to look out for, I think. So the opening flurry of blocks. No armor break so far. Nope. All knockdowns. The catcher picks up the ball without any problems and moves to safety. And I begin forming a protective cocoon around her. This one is pretty much to make sure these three players don't move about freely. And these moves, I think, pretty much making it very hard for the Dark Elves to dodge in and cause problems. This move I don't think is particularly great. Whenever you move a couple of players, isolate them like this, it's pretty much begging for the opposition to target them either with a blitz and knock down, or and if that's successful, it usually leads into a foul. So sure enough, the Dark Elves are targeting this isolated catcher. Failed to knock her down, fortunately. She dodges out of the way. The whole deal with the Dark Elves is they are going to just simply stall us and wait for an opening through which they can stream forward and use their superior speed and agility to cause problems for us. So I don't expect them to make a major rush for the ball. He's dodging out to minimize the number of free blocks I get. So I'm preparing for my 2 dice blocks. All this is preparing for failure. Whatever happens with the blitz, I do not want that to affect the ball carrier. So make sure she is safe first. First 2 dice block results in a defender down. But once again, no armor breaks. Again, players are being knocked down, but no one is being injured. So here comes the blitz courtesy of the multi-blow blitzer. Will she be able to take out someone? It's only a stunned. Turn 2. Let's see what the Dark Elves do. I do have a Wizard. But I think my thinking generally is try to keep the Wizard for the opposition's offensive drive. It is entirely possible I might have to use it for my own drive if I find my offense is stalled and I'm running out of time. Once again, the catcher takes a hit. So the thinking here is he's expecting me to make a passing play to this catcher, but generally the Amazons are not going to make passing plays unless absolutely necessary, because at their default stat levels, they only have 3 agility. Granted, their thrower has pass and their catchers have catch, which boosts the chances of passing and catching to about 89% without any need to resort to the team reroll, but still 89% is still 11% of failure. So that is the first pitch removal. Managed to take out this Witch Elf who has, I believe, a niggling injury. Nope, not niggling injury. But the AV7 Witch Elves are priority targets if we can manage to knock him down. Easier said than done because they have block and dodge. So once again, I'm being very slow in my pushing forward, which tends to be my approach whether I'm playing with the Amazons or the Chaos Dwarves. Slowly move up instead of rushing forward. My whole plan generally tends to be take as much time as possible to score and leave the opposition with very little time to gain the equalizer before the half ends. So I've handed the ball off to the thrower. She now has block and dodge. Here comes the blitz. It's another push. So keep an eye on this player here. The Dark Elf Blitzer with tackle. Targets the catcher once again. Fails to knock her down this time. Once again dodges out to prevent me from getting any free blocks. So right now I have only one potential block here aside from the blitz, and this one is going to be a red dice block unless I move a couple of players there. Move the thrower to the sidelines. Kind of risky because this player is touching the corners of the cage, so I will have to blitz him, I think. The other danger is of course the Witch Elf who has Frenzy. The Dark Elf coach must be salivating at the thought of pushing this player off the pitch, but fortunately for me, she does have sidestep. So the ball looks relatively safe. But best possible target for the Dark Elf Blitz is going to be this player. Even though the Witch Elf is not going to be able to push off the catcher, but can at least attempt to prise open this well, it's not exactly a corner of the cage, isn't it? But this part of the cage. Once she's done that, they can start applying pressure. The thrower is sort of in touchdown distance. but that would require making GFIs, and because there's still a lot of time here. Sorry, 4 turns. I doubt I'm going to be scoring now. Once again targets the catcher. Repositions his blitzer with tackle, putting him very deep. Here comes a blitz from the Witch Elf. Knocks down this line woman and stuns her, which puts the Witch Elf right next to my ball carrier, but is there an opportunity to serve this Witch Elf? This Witch Elf does not have sidestep, does not have stand firm, does not have any skills to prevent her from being crowd surfed. It might be possible to actually serve this Witch Elf, but it will require something successful against this lineman with block. So let's see what happens. So the opening move is targeting this lineman. Try to get him out of the way. I don't think this was... I think this, at this stage, there's no chance of crowd surfing this Witch Elf. Maybe I should not have moved this blitzer forward to follow up on the block. But I guess the first priority should be keeping the ball carrier safe. And by knocking down this Witch Elf, I've done that for the moment at least. Position this catcher over here to give this blitzer a 2 dice block. Okay, knock down this lineman with AV8. Fortunately, the armor withstands the mighty blow, so no armor break for me. Move the thrower back in a central position. Dark Elves might be tempted into making a 1 dice block against the ball carrier. Let's see if they attempt it. Safe moves first, a relatively safe block. Pushes back my blitzer with guard. Looks like the Dark Elf is not going to make any attempt to harry the ball carrier, and opts instead to try to target this catcher once again. Okay, double skull. What is the team reroll situation now? The Dark Elves are down to 1. I have 2 left for my next 3 turns, including this one. So it looks like I'm going to move the ball carrier over here. We're sort of running out of time. And remember that Amazons do not have above average movement. Across the board, they have only movement 6. So there's still plenty of time to score. It's not going to be difficult to reach the end zone in 2 turns, but because the Dark Elves are so proficient at dodging out and stalling the opposition's offense, it is going to complicate matters. Fail to knock down this blitzer. Running out of time here. So if you take a look at the situation here, I have 2 turns after this. The ball is over here. There are a lot of Dark Elves free to move over here to stall my cage from moving forward. So it looks kind of dicey. But on the plus side, if worse comes to worse, I can always let loose a fireball. Of course, there's always going to be potential for failure. There's no guarantee that we are going to get a Gandalf instead of a Rincewind. So the fireball might fizzle. Nonetheless, it's nice to have options. So once again, the Dark Elves are content to stall us. All they have to do is prevent us from scoring in this half. They get the ball in next half and they can take 8 turns to casually stroll to a 1-0 victory. Not exactly in dire straits, but it would be, I think. Okay, that is the fireball. Managed to knock down and injure 1 player. This was a runner with 37 SPP, so that was kind of nice. But I still have this player to deal with. The ball carrier is over here. She can't reach the end zone. Well, this players over here might have a slim chance of making it over there, but it will require making 2 GFIs. And there's always a question, do you want to risk everything on one low probability move, or do you want to simply bide your time and make your big play for turn 8? Managed to knock down the blitzer. This one has block, dodge and leap, as well as strip ball, in addition to tackle. So this was this is pretty much his dedicated sacker. Move forward. Running out of time. And I got 4 players over here. Because I took so long simply to try to figure out what is the optimal move to move my thrower closer to the end zone. I was running out of time, which is something I find myself struggling with in the open ladder, because you only have 2-minute turns. It really depends on the team. If you're playing the vampires, for example, I had a lot of trouble with the vampires simply because the vampires require a lot of preparation before making your moves, and 2 minutes I found was really not sufficient in a lot of turns. On the other hand, playing a team like, say, the dwarves, who are very reliable, who are very one-dimensional, there's not much to think about when you're playing the dwarves. They are not going to be making a lot of dodges, you're not going to be making a lot of passing plays, so it's simply a matter of maximizing the number of your blocks and slowly but surely whittling down the opposition numbers. But teams like the Amazons, I found it difficult. Okay, so this was a critical moment in the match because this player was one of my key players. I've mentioned earlier in a previous match that if she was going to get injured, I was going to use a Apothecary for her, because block, dodge and guard makes her a vital player for the team, both on offense and defense. On the downside, there's no guarantee that the Apothecary is going to work. And sure enough, this one, she loses 1 point in armor value. So Amazon healthcare, not that great. So I pretty much fired her after this match because AV6 Blitzer was not going to be much use to the team. So that was a bad miss. Not only did I have one of my best players injured, but I've already used my apothecary. So things were very dicey, and you take a look at the Dark Elves. They are positioning themselves to make it very difficult for me to free up the ball carrier. So that's the leap from the Dark Elf with leap. Okay, fortunately that GFI failed. He's going to reroll, and that is the last reroll he has. It's a red dice block, but it results only in a push. So maybe, just maybe, instead of going with the push, maybe you should have selected both down, because both players have blocked, both players will remain standing, but the ball carrier would be here instead of over here. If the ball carrier was here, there would be 4 Dark Elf players in close proximity, making it very tough for me to free up. Right now, the only Dark Elf next to the ball carrier is this one. Granted, it's a very dangerous player who has block, dodge and tackle in addition to strip ball. So this player has got to be dealt with. I've already used my fireball. In addition to that, there's this witch elf standing in the way. So it looks very dicey. And that is turn 8. So if you take a look at the situation, and it's incredibly hairy. What are the things I have to do? I have to do something about this player, and I have to dodge out of the way of this witch elf. This player I could deal with this one, at which point I have to blitz this player away to have the thrower move to the end zone without any difficulty. I do have 2 rerolls, that means one more reroll than I can actually use. But I'm going to have to make a couple of dice rolls here. Knock down this player, push away this player. Let's see what happens. So this is prepping for this player. 2 dice block, fails to knock him down. This time manage it. Okay, take a look at this. By knocking him down here, I've prevented my thrower from moving freely this side. And take a look at how congested this area is. I would love to get a 2 dice block against this witch elf. What is the best way to do that? Dodge out with this blitzer. But if I dodge out here, it's only a 50% because I'm dodging into a tackle zone. With the dodge skill, that goes up to 75%. And that is the first dice roll. The second dice roll has got to be the push. I have got to push this witch elf away to ensure this thrower has a free run to the end zone without making any dice rolls. Is there anything else I can do? These 2 players are completely out of position. So they're not going to be able to help. So interesting. Instead of dodging this player out, I reduced it to 1 dice roll. If I dodge this player out, that would be a 75%. And if I blitz with this catcher over here, that's 2 dice rolls. So instead of that, I reduced it to 1 dice roll by moving this player up and then blitzing with the ball carrier. It's very risky, but I think at this point it's time to roll the dice. Hopefully this works. It does. Managed to push the witch elf away, and fortunately I don't follow up. You might think that would be an obvious thing to think, but if you take a look at my match against the Camry, in which the Amazons suffered their one and only defeat so far, that was precisely what I did. So the Amazons fortunately take the lead before halftime. The Dark Elves do have one turn after this, but I don't anticipate them scoring. So I'm still kind of disappointed that this Blitzer is gone. I do have reserve, so I do start turn 8 with 11 players. So this positioning is pretty much attempting to keep my players safe for the second half. I put all my zero or unleveled linewomen on the line of scrimmage. If anyone is going to get hurt during this last few blocks of the half, I prefer it to be them instead of the leveled up linewomen. So the Dark Elves are down to 9. Dark Elf teams tend to be very small because their players are so expensive. When they level up, the TV value shoots up dramatically. But on the plus side, the Dark Elves, like all elf teams, do not need a lot of players to score a touchdown. Combination of superior movement and superior agility means they are easily capable of scoring even with 9 players. But right now, time is against them, and the opposing coach has not set himself up for a one-turn touchdown. You generally don't see one-turn touchdown setups in the open ladder. Is he going to foul? Not sure that's the best move, especially because he's down players. But he gets away with it. He's going to attempt a pass to get 1 SPP. And that is halftime. The Witch Elf recovers, unfortunately. What about my KO'd player? Nope, decides to stay sleeping, dreaming the dreams of Amazons. As I suggested before, what do Amazons dream of? AV9. Pretty compact setup. I keep this linewoman deep because she has tackle. So if the ball carrier for the Dark Elf is likely to be this Witch Elf, or more likely to be this Blitzer. Block, dodge, deep. They get an extra team reroll, unfortunately. Opening blocks. 1 linewoman goes down. Her armor holds. Okay. Second injury. Loses 1 point in strength. So you wouldn't peg the Dark Elves for being a very bashy team, and this team does not have a lot of mighty blow or does not have a lot of piling on. But whenever you play AV7 teams, you just gotta expect the unexpected. When Nuffle really wants to kill one of your players, it will happen, regardless of your AV value. Another armor break. It's only a stun this time. 10 versus 10. One player is stunned. This witch elf actually is in touchdown distance, so hence this is the target for the blitz. Managed to knock her down, but she will jump up in the next turn. Armor break and this blitzer is stunned. Interesting. Okay, maybe not the best choice to make. The target of the witch elf was good, but I'm not sure that fouling when both teams have 10 players was the best thing to do. Maybe fouling works best when you have an advantage. So this player is now in danger of being served. On the plus side, these two players are very close to the edge themselves. Let's see what happens over here. And this player positions this player to make it hard for this player to dodge out over here. Here comes the blitz. Red die block. No, so one dice block. Managed to knock down the blitzer with guard. Moving her away from this group over here. So both witch elves are in a scoring position now. And my defenses over here look very thin. The dark elves have got 4 players here. And these players are sort of out of position. Okay, double skull. Quad skulls. Fantastic. What that means is this player is going to meet the crowd, who will be delighted to meet her and perform their usual meet and greet with their feet. At which point this ball carrier is sort of free to hand the ball to the witch elf for the touchdown as soon as the dark elf coach has dealt with this catcher. So that Quad Skulls has pretty much gifted the dark elves the touchdown. Only question is the dark elf coach going to go for it? Is the dark elf coach going to score early? Because I would have 6 turns after this to get the winner. On the other hand, if he decides to stall a little, he could reduce my numbers first by pushing this player off and then performing a couple of blocks over here. Let's see what the dark elf coach does here. Quad Skulls at a critical moment. Opening block, and he uses one of his rerolls to get rid of my line woman. Granted, it's a line woman with wrestle and tackle. Sort of an important player against a team who has a couple of players with block and dodge. Okay, looks like I'm not sure is he going to score? Okay, fortunately wrestle dealt came in handy there. Okay, he's not going. Oops, interesting. He's going to stall. Fails the GFI and stuns himself because he's already used his team reroll earlier to push my player off the pitch. But if you take a look at the situation, not much I can do to prevent the touchdown. That quad skull in my previous turn left these players out of position. This blitzer with guard could move forward, but she doesn't have much in the way of backup. I would have to make a couple of dodges here. This player would have to dodge out. This player could move freely, but has a lot of ground to make up. So it doesn't look like I have a good shot at preventing the touchdown. Let's see what the Amazons actually do here. A safe move that doesn't require any dice rolls. This one requires 2 GFIs, but now I've at least put someone next to a ball carrier. Managed to knock down the blitzer. So this is not great because if you take a look at the situation, the Witch Elf has a 97% chance of dodging out this way because she has dodge and agility 4. So 97% chance to dodge out here and head to the end zone. Yeah, as I noted earlier, I don't actually have much I can do here. Running out of time once again. 2 dice block against the second Witch Elf. Fails to make any dent in her armor. And that is the straightforward dodge. For the equalizer, 1-all. On the plus side, the Amazons have 6 turns to snatch victory. Will they be able to do it? Let's find out. Is my KO player going to recover? Nope. Decides to remain sleeping. Fine. So once again I got a full squad of 11 against 10 Dark Elves. So if you noted earlier, the Dark Elves did very well to stall and prevented us from scoring easily. To take the lead, I had to use a fireball, and I'm out of fireballs. So this will be interesting. Quick snap, we get to move 1 square. The blitzer with tackle has the ball. Which is not necessarily a good thing because ideally I would like to have the blitzer with tackle targeting the opposition players with dodge. If she's the ball carrier, she's not going to be making a lot of blocks or blitzers. So I might have to hand the ball off. Okay, so there is another injury. Dark Elves are reduced to 9. So this blitzer with guard has a 2 dice block against this player. Ball carrier is relatively safe. No armor break this time. These 2 line women are preventing these players from freely coming inside. So they remember they still have this dangerous sacker here. Block, dodge, leap agility 4, strip ball and tackle. So the Dark Elf coach is being a kind of cautious here. He's content to let me bring the ball to him. Not sure what the Dark Elf coach's thinking is here. Is he thinking in terms of scoring himself, or will he be content with the draw? He only has 3 turns out of this. He still has 2 team rerolls. Opening blitz does not result in a knockdown. Now I get a 2 dice block against this player. Succeed in knocking him down. Armor break, but it's only a stun, but this takes this player out for 2 turns. So this is the handoff. Given the ball to the catcher with block, dodge and sidestep. But the ball is only at the halfway line and I've got 3 turns remaining. The Dark Elf coach moves his most dangerous player closer to the ball carrier. Spreads his players about. Here comes the blitz. It's only a push. He's going to dodge his player out. Fails to do it. Is he going to reroll? Yes, he does. I think his thinking there was he needed as many players as he can because he's already down to 9 players. Is it 9 or 8? 3, 8. Wait a minute, there should be 9. Okay, the 9th player is over here. Fail GFI. I've already used my reroll for the turn. I'm down to 1 reroll. Ball carrier is only at the halfway line. I can move her forward now. But how aggressive should I be? So the ball carrier is 2 squares closer to the end zone. But still, I have a lot of ground to make up in the next 2 turns before the match ends. So the Dark Elf coach must be feeling pretty optimistic that he would be able to prevent the winner. Ball is over here. He has a lot of players free who can, and the players who aren't free should be able to dodge out. Thanks to their agility 4. Chooses to blitz first. Maybe, just maybe, he should have moved this player, picked up this player before performing the blitz, because when you're blitzing, even with a 2 dice block, even with a player with block, there's always going to be a slim chance of failure. If you remember earlier, I had quad skulls, and that pretty much opened the way for the Dark Elves to score the equalizer. So maybe he should have performed these safe moves first, but he's managed to get away with it. And things are looking kind of dodgy here. Lot of bodies between me and the end zone. And time is now of the essence. Every move has got to count. This player out of position at the moment. Okay. Dark Elves are down to 8. So where do I move the ball carrier? From these moves, it looks like I'm moving her over this side. The ball carrier is in touchdown distance, but it will require 2 GFIs. And these Dark Elves could easily reposition themselves. The only question is, the Dark Elf coach only has 8 players to spread himself, to spread out. Will it prove too few? So the Dark Elf coach prepares for one last turn to prevent the loss. Here comes the blitz. Okay, double skull into a knockdown thanks to tackle. The Dark Elf coach is trying to figure out where I'm going to push my ball carrier. This blitzer is actually in touchdown distance. She will have to make 2 GFIs, but I think GFIs are unavoidable at this point. One final turn and I do not have any players close enough to the end zone without GFIs. So if I were to use this blitzer to score the touchdown, it would require 3 dice rolls. One to hand off the ball, that would be 67%, with the team reroll that goes up to 89%, followed by 2 GFIs, 83% and 83%. A combination of, I think it's 69%, 89% for the handoff, 69% for the 2 GFIs. So that is one possible way of getting the touchdown. See what I actually do here. Is it possible to go through this way? So if I were to blitz this blitzer, he has block with a 2 dice block. I would reduce the... it will still require GFIs, So I managed to knock him down, paving the way for this player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. Hand off here. So this one only requires one GFI, but at first I have to make a handoff. So maybe this wasn't the smartest play to make. Maybe I should have simply handed off to this blitzer, have her run it in. On the plus side, if I do manage to score with this thrower, I would be able to level her up. Now the thrower is not exactly a vital player for the Amazons because at agility 3, even with pass, which allows you to re-roll the a fumble pass, it only goes up to 89%. So not exactly great odds. You generally don't see the Amazons making a lot of passing plays. It's one of the things you can use if you're in a tight spot. So interesting, what am I actually doing here? I thought I was going to score with this thrower, but does not look like it. So where is the ball going? So I'm going to attempt to score with this catcher. Okay, here he goes. And of course she fails a second GFI. Final team reroll, and that is the victory at the death. 2-1 for the Amazons. Maybe not the optimal way to do that. But if it works, it works. Let's take a look at the dice rolls. We managed to inflict more armor bricks on the Dark Elves than they did to us. In terms of statistics, anything interesting? So I think these numbers were big, the KOs and injury inflicted. Because the Amazons had reserves, the injuries the Dark Elves inflicted upon us didn't result in too much, had not much of an effect, whereas the injuries I inflicted on the Dark Elves left them with far too few players to mount a defense to prevent the winner. SPP 12 for the Dark Elves, 13 for the Amazons. Anything interesting about the dice rolls? So we managed to get quad skulls in that in the second half. So this one is reflected here. We managed 90% of our dodges, which is unusually high. GFI is only 66%. So this was huge, the fireball. The fireball which caused one injury and open up space for the lead. I think this was a key moment in the match. So that was match 13 for the Amazons. We have 11 victories, 1 draw and 1 defeat. In the next match, we are going to face the Skaven. Would the Amazons be able to prevent them from romping to victory? I'll see you next time.